Hi gang, welcome to another final say. Myself and Chidi here.
Going on, Suraj, you alright? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. We've returned from our hiatus of the Premier League not being here, and we're back again. But today we're going to discuss two awards. We're going to discuss the PFA Player of the Year, and we're going to discuss the Sports Personality of the Year also. And we'll touch upon the return of the Prem. So let's get straight into it, Chidi. PFA Player of the Year. I guess we've got the short list of 5, but we're really only going to focus, I guess, on maybe the top 3 or really the top 2. So top 3 candidates of PFA Player of the Year this year. We've got Kevin De Bruyne, Jordan Henderson, and Sadio Mane. Those are the 3 that have made the sort of short list. There are 5, but VVD, we're unlikely that VVD will pick up 2 in a row. And probably compared to the season he has had, I don't think he's probably leveled that season. As in, I don't think he's probably on a par with that season as such. Or he hasn't been as instrumental as he's needed to be last season for you guys this season in terms of how the whole team's been performing. Everyone's been doing their bit. He's not been like the sole outstanding focus of Liverpool this time round. I think it's been much more of a team unity, and I think that's what's kind of like propelled you towards the title this season. It's just everything's ticking, everything's working well. Klopp's machine is full on. So, Chidi, your thoughts on, I guess, who? Let's just go straight into it. Who do you think, out those 3 from the shortlist, which is the one that for you deserves to be player of the season, player of the year?
It's going to be a bit controversial because last time I think a Liverpool player won was Suarez, and we didn't win the league that year. So obviously, what I'm about to say might sound a bit silly, but I do think it has to be, from what we've done, I think it has to be a Liverpool player. Obviously, the Liverpool players that have made the shortlist are, as you said, Van Dijk, Mane and Henderson. And I would agree with you that Van Dijk, stats-wise, I'm not so sure because we have only conceded, I think, 15 goals. Obviously, the season's not over. But I think on performance to performance, yeah, you're right. I don't think he hasn't been as good as last year. Last year, he was like...
Well, last year, he won, didn't he?
So he hasn't been, I think, he hasn't, like, no one dribbled past him for the whole year. So I think like that on its own was...
I think sometimes you can be victim to your own success.
Yeah.
Especially when you're looking at players like VVD and the other player we're going to mention in a minute anyway.
Yeah.
But I think with those players, because you're world class, you immediately get judged slightly more harshly.
Yeah.
And because last year he was outright, hands down, people talking about him being the best centre-back in the world. When people start talking about you being the best in the world, I think that really cementing your status in world football. So no one could stop talking about VVD. Or you could talk about, even he had Klopp's backing. He was Klopp's man of the year too in that sense. So yeah, with VVD, he's been there, done it. This time round, it's very rare for a player to pick up 2 in a row. You do have your like phenoms that have done it, but yeah, I think if we're looking at Liverpool, and I guess this is part of the argument. See, for me personally, it's KDB. That's on a very personal level. That's looking at him as a footballer, as a complete unit of a midfielder, world-class performer, and been doing it consistently. And another thing I guess with regards to that is also he's on for a record this year. So one of the records that can be broken by Kevin De Bruyne this year is Thierry Henry, the almighty Thierry Henry's assist record from... I don't know the year, Chidi. I don't know the year. It's been a long time since anyone's come close to it, and Kevin De Bruyne is in that vicinity. 5 assists, I believe. I think it's 5, maybe 6. And he breaks Mr. Thierry Henry's record, which has stood there since he was playing for Arsenal, which is, well over a decade ago. So, yeah, he's in the realms of achieving greatness, regardless whether the fellow peers bestow upon him the PFA Player of the Year.
Okay, so wait, so PFA Player of the Year. So obviously that's the players they're going to pick, yeah.
Yeah, so your peers basically.
Okay, so yeah, so I do think, I think obviously one thing I was going to say is like obviously it should be a Liverpool player. That leaves Henderson and Mane if it's not Van Dijk. I think it's a bit hard though. In terms of like consistency, I think they both match De Bruyne for consistency. Obviously not probably not Henderson, but Mane definitely in terms of like world-class performances. You know, Henderson's always been consistent, but he's not been a world-class consistent performer. Whereas in terms of world-class, I think Mane has, but he doesn't have any. So if I'm gonna name a player that's gonna be close, there has to be a Liverpool player. It has to have some kind of individual world excellent consistency. And considering Mane, I think was last year was very close as well. He was in there as well. So it's got to be Mane for me, and it's going to be the choice between Mane and De Bruyne. And one thing I'd say about Mane is that he came off the African nations and he wasn't really fit at the start of the season, and we kind of had to thrust him in there, and he literally was playing up till he got a little injury around December, and then he came back. And like he's literally like, okay, he doesn't have the standout. The thing about De Bruyne is, he has the standout assist record, but Mane, he's got, I think, like assist or a goal in like every match.
See, I'm a huge fan of both. So like I've only got positives to talk about the pair of them. My whole life growing up watching Man United football, one thing about Man United where I could say we was always very strong or typically strong or was wingers. I love watching wingers. So being a rival fan, I actually say this with absolutely no. It doesn't bother me to say this about Sadio Mane. Such is the player. That when you talk about Sadio Mane and we talk about wingers right now and we talk about football, I think when you're talking about Sadio Mane, you're not talking about the best winger in the Premier League. I think you're not even talking about the best winger in Europe. I think with Sadio Mane, you're possibly talking about the best winger in the world football. Sadio Mane is phenomenal. I'll put it like this. When I was trying to do my analysis of why should Sadio Mane be player of the season ahead of Hendo, my biggest argument was basically there is no weakness to this player. And I really, really went through, because the first thing I try to do is critique, is find where you are weak or where you are limited. I could have Henderson. So my whole even this whole conversation with you, Chidi, I wanted to see where you went with this one, whether you was going to respect the sort of the Mane stance or whether it's the romance of Liverpool. So when I say romance of Liverpool, I feel like there's this kind of campaign behind Jordan Henderson. So even with recent events, and we've had time off, and I think if you looked at certain apps, certain media, and just as an example, for example, I'm just going to put it on my phone, and it's really subtle. It's really subtle, but it happens. It kind of happens a lot. So what it is when they give you Player of the Season, you see who they put front and center, and you see who they put to the sides. And I know this is very subliminal, and everything in this country is done very subtly, like very to a very subtle level when they want to influence things. And my only argument with all of this is simply that when you're being brutal about this, and we take away the fact that he's Liverpool captain, and we really bring it to he's kind of overachieved this season. We can't call him world class, because when we look at him, he doesn't look like a world class footballer. Yet his performances are pretty high level, and he's very consistent in the field that he works with. But if you compare him to Kevin De Bruyne, who's got range, ability, and a whole different facet of skills, and put it this way, if you sent Barcelona over to Liverpool, will they be looking to scout a player like Jordan Henderson, or will they be looking to scout a player like Sadio Mane? When you go to play Bayern Munich in the Champions League and they're looking at that team sheet, are they worried about Jordan Henderson sitting in the middle, or are they worried about potentially one of the world's most deadliest lethal wingers in Sadio Mane? So like for me, when you look at it without all the romance and you look at it in terms of quality, ability, not just the performances, because both of them have been performing. The whole Liverpool team's been performing. Every single player in Liverpool, including Trent Alexander-Arnold, could probably be up for Player of the Season. What's he done wrong? He's done nothing wrong as well. He's just premature in terms of trying to rank him against someone like Mane, who's been doing it for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons. But everyone in Liverpool has performed well. I think there was an argument used with Hendo being away from Liverpool and you guys having a blip. That's all, I understand that as an argument to use for Henderson. But you can't apply the same argument for Mane, because if you took away Mane for the first 3 months of Liverpool, at what point did you have a 15 and 20 point lead against City? By the time Mane started calming down and take his foot off the gas, when Salah returned and Henderson was already playing very well, the damage was done to this league. The damage is well and truly done. By December, January, Liverpool had so much momentum going forward that Man City couldn't keep up with them. What do you think, Chidi, in terms of, because how they seem to be posting Henderson is that without Henderson, Liverpool would have done nothing. But I think that's unfair, because without VVD for the whole season, you would struggle. Without Mane for the whole season, you would struggle. So we got to see what it would be like without Jordan Henderson playing for Liverpool. We didn't get to see what it would be like without Sadio Mane starting the first 3 months of Liverpool.
I don't really know where you're going with this, in the sense that well, in terms of, like, if you're saying that they're trying to make Henderson win, okay, I guess that's a separate argument. In terms of, I think one of the issues, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why Henderson's actually been highlighted, is something that you've kind of been touching upon, and I think it's, if we look through the years, a lot of people always go for the flashy guys. I remember when in the World Cup, was it 2006, Italy won, and they didn't know who they were. Everyone was saying who they're gonna make best player in the tournament. And eventually they decided what they're going to make it was the defender Cannavaro, because he was the best player in the tournament. But obviously you can't really give it to a defender. And I think the same argument goes with Hendo. And there's a time, every now and again, what happens is that you have these players that are underrated, underachievers, and normally 9 times out of 10 they go under the radar. And then there's always that one time where they want to be like, you know what? Yeah, we want to highlight this person. We want to show that, okay, he's not as flashy as the other guys. You just said it. Okay, maybe you won't get in a Bayern Munich team. You won't get in a Barcelona team. He's not De Bruyne. He won't be on shirts. But his performances and what he's achieved and what he's done does technically put him up there. So why shouldn't we highlight this person? And I think that's what you're seeing this year.
Yeah, in the same respect, your whole team's been performing. So I maybe that can be used against someone like Kevin De Bruyne. But for me, I guess what my argument is this a fair argument to begin with? If we're always fed that on the front of, in terms of a media campaign, I think clearly there's there, and I didn't want to get into this point till later on so that we can flip over to the next subject. Yeah. So I'm gonna wait on that just a touch longer. But clearly there is a little bit of a campaign behind Jordan Henderson, and I just feel like you take away from the player, because if he is truly that pivotal player, then you've got to trust that his peers and those that are voting or eligible to vote will be looking at it from a football perspective. What I don't like is during the last few weeks and recent weeks, I've been hearing things like this: Jordan Henderson shoo-in, which suggests to me there's no debate or argument and that he's nailed on to win it. That's my first argument there. You don't hear that kind of chat about anyone else. Kevin De Bruyne being linked with the Thierry Henry. I don't know if you was aware of that, Chidi, but I don't know how many people are aware of that Kevin De Bruyne stands to break.
No, they do talk. I get what you're saying. So let's just touch on, forget that, because we're going to go into a whole Henderson argument. I don't really want to get into that. But in terms of player of the year, I personally think it should be a Liverpool player. Now, that might be a bit biased, because when the last Liverpool player that won it, Suarez, we didn't win the league. So technically, it doesn't have to be a Liverpool player.
Chidi, who won it last year?
Van Dijk won it last year. I said, even last year, we didn't win the league. So it doesn't have to be a team.
You keep saying it's Suarez, but actually you're
Suarez, yeah. So Van Dijk won it last year. So that was the last player that done it. And before that was twice. I think it should be Mane, but obviously I feel like that's biased. So if you're taking away that,
why do you feel that's biased though?
Because obviously
because you're saying because you've won it.
No. I'm discounting. No, because I'm discounting. Obviously, we haven't won a league in, for example, I'm looking at when Leicester won the league, And obviously, it's like it has to be a Leicester player. So they gave it was a Mahrez, I think, and it wasn't Vardy. But I'm looking at it from that perspective. But in terms of like,
I'm always wondering. I set my own credentials. So like when we're picking, they should have won a Prem. But I don't think there is any harm of setting a credential saying it's easier to pick from a winning team because generally their performances would have been better, and therefore they've got players that would have been consistently. Like it's a fairish argument, you know. So I don't. The thing with me is just like I just want to bring this one element into perspective. Do we, when we vote when they try and influence these kind of votes, are they doing it solely because they think Hendo's underrated and deserves recognition? Or are they doing it because he's like the great hope of the country? In terms of if Kevin De Bruyne was English, does he immediately get a lot more recognition than he seems to be getting now?
Of course,
so if Kevin,
of course, I think that's the issue. Like you remember, it's the players that are going to vote for it. So like what you just said.
But I think just like we're susceptible to influence. If during this recent events where you've got a lot of time off and maybe the players haven't been training as much or whatever, they've got time to look at these apps and I just think I've seen lots of sort of subtle details sort of pushing one player, and I just wanted to know, or I just wanted to be fair to the other player. So if it is between the two Liverpool players, for example, now Jordan Henderson probably has every right to be going for it, and he's got his own arguments. But I don't want those arguments to be taken away from because of this campaign to be pushing down your throat.
What I'm trying to say is that's what I'm trying to explain to you, Suraj, is that this happens. Like you see it throughout the years. These type of awards always go to the star player. Look at Player of the Year. Yeah, it was Ronaldo, Messi. Van Dijk probably should have won it. He came second because it has to be a Ronaldo, Messi. Like those are the guys. Look at even when in the World Cup, I can't remember which one it was, and then Argentina got to the final and Messi won the World Cup player.
Yeah, I had money on that.
You know what I mean? And everybody was like, "Oh, why did he win it?" I had money
on that, and I to the life of me, I thought that is gone. Like I'm an honest football fan. I was watching it and I said, "There's no way Messi's winning that."
Exactly.
And he got the award, and I won money, and he accepted it, and his cheeks were red because it was an embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm trying to say to you is that every now and again, it goes the other way where they feel like, you know what? Yeah, let's not give it to the star player because we know standard is going to be Kevin De Bruyne or Mane. Those are the standard guys, and it's disappointing because obviously De Bruyne has done really well this year. Let me just finish. It's disappointing.
What happens if neither of those players ever get recognition and we because this one's okay? My thing is this: like, okay, between me and you, and we do this. You're a Liverpool fan. I'm a Man United fan. We both seem to be inclined towards Sadio Mane, and I'm doing it based on what I see and what I appreciate in football. If you ask me, is is Jordan Henderson the best centre midfielder in the Premier League? I'd probably say no. But if you ask me, is Sadio Mane the best winger in the Premier League? I'll probably say no, because I think he's actually the best in the world right now. Not only is he the best in the Premier League, best in Europe, I think there's a case for Sadio Mane being the best winger. If you tell me right now, you lose Sadio Mane, who do you go and get, Chidi? Whereas if you lose Jordan Henderson, of course he's been pivotal. Of course there's that romance of, look, he's the English player. He's done well for us. But there are players that I could recommend you go and get, and I think it would improve your team. And it's not anything against them. I'm just trying to say, like, there's one player that for me is leagues above Jordan Henderson. Like, if it comes down to between them two players, it's not even.
Yeah, but that's not the criteria, because it's not a set criteria, because if it's players that vote for it, everybody has their own different opinion. You can think that way, and that's how you're going to know when you get the award, because a player could think like you and be like, no, De Bruyne is just that guy. Or another player could look at it and be like, yo, Henderson has been... And sometimes it doesn't have to even be from this year. A player could look at it and be like, oh, Henderson's been underrated. He's been a solid performer. Like, he's achieved so much. He's like such an overachiever. We want to give him recognition for that. And because he's English, if he wasn't English, like, look, it's like the same thing when Kante at Chelsea, there was that, he won it that year. And again, it was a case of, maybe it's a bit different because Kante's performances were at that level. But there was a campaign, like, we want to give it we want to recognise somebody that might not be flashy. We want to recognise somebody. Let's recognise the guy that does all the work but gets none of the credit. And I think that's the same with Henderson.
I get it, but it's double-sided because in the same respect, hasn't Mane lost out twice? Was he not a great performer last year and he lost out to VVD?
I think Mane should win. I didn't say Henderson should win. I'm explaining to you why
I agree
there's a
with
campaign
you.
to put Henderson on the list.
I thought we was going to get into it in terms of like why Mane should win, because I've got like I said, I went through it and I found the man has no weakness. Like in terms of winger, I'm a purist. I've watched Man United football. We've had some of the best wingers on the planet, mate. Absolute best wingers. And I say this with I say this with pure love. Like when I look at Sadio Mane, I'm talking about one of the best wingers on the planet right now.
Yeah,
so
I think it should be Mane. To me, it's between Mane and De Bruyne to win. But obviously, because there is, like you said, Henderson is English. There's a campaign now for the underdog. We want to see, especially the way the current mood is, we want to see the underdog. We want the guy, you put De Bruyne up there, everybody's going to be like, oh, De Bruyne is world class. Look him. Yeah, good. Mane, same thing. Mane's a bit different because he's obviously backstory, but he's won like African Player of the Year, so we've kind of seen it before. Whereas Henderson, it's like, give the Player of the Year to Henderson. It's going to be like, wow, like this guy, English guy, hard working, not exactly flashy. He's got that whole backdrop.
I think there's a lot to it.
They want it to play out.
Yeah,
that's what's pushing the Henderson. I don't think particularly that's a good enough reason for him to win this award. I think it's a good enough reason for him to say get top 3, like coming third. But I don't think it's a good enough reason because on an individual basis, yes, if you take Henderson out of the Liverpool team, we can cope. Whereas Mane and De Bruyne they're on the level.
They're on a different planet. I want that recognition from him. And Chidi, let's get onto the sort of the let's push on with the point just a touch in terms of, because this was going to be one of the points, and that was like in the time off they've done some charity work, and that was actually used as one of the
go on. Let's talk about that with the sports personality of the year, because I think what your argument is very prevalent to more so that award, because
I thought we was prepared, because I'm guessing we're both saying that Mane deserves player of the season.
I think Mane deserves it on the basis of that him consistency since he came. Even when he was at Southampton, like he was amazing. Since he's been at Liverpool, he's been consistent. He's got the backstory of the hard worker, the things he does off the field. Very humble guy. In terms of statistical, yes, he's not got assists, but he's got the stats of the assists, the goals, everything, and he's very and then he's got the Henderson effect as well, where he's very somewhat underrated, because a lot of people always if you look at his record in the big games, I watch Liverpool, he always comes up in the big games, whereas Salah,
he's amazing.
He's
amazing. Sadio Mane.
Yeah, so I think it's between Mane and De Bruyne, and I think where potentially De Bruyne's got the assists, but City is so far behind. He's lacked a bit of, he's their captain as well, and I think at times he's lacked a bit of leadership. He's taken over the captaincy for the company. I think he's another victim
of being quiet. I think some players grab their own hype a little bit by, like I said, I've said it before, between maybe Gerrard and Scholes arguments, where you got one that would sort of pump their chest and demand the recognition, and one that kind of just does the football but doesn't ever do the PR behind it. And I think that maybe a little bit here, how much PR is there behind Sadio Mane in terms of there isn't. I'll just say this, Chidi, as well. There was a little bit of talk in the last 24 hours, and probably it's going to go on throughout the season, about Mane potentially leaving. I heard a story from last year that he was a little bit upset in terms of personal recognition. He's a really selfless player. So let me just state this, okay, for what I discovered when going through the Mane stuff. Decision making elite level, speed very fast, balance, strength, unpredictability. Like Traore, when they get the ball, you're not sure as a defender. You look at them, you look at their body shape. They don't shape up in a particular way. So if you look at Mane versus Salah, for example, when Salah gets the ball, he opens his body in a particular way because he's going to be shaping to shoot, usually trying to pick out top corners. when Mane receives the ball, he receives it in such a way that his body shape doesn't let you know what his next move is going to be. He's very fluid. If he was an element, he would be water. He's very fluid. He's really, really balance is there, dribbling is there, speed is there, trickery is there. But more important than all of that stuff is the brain that man possesses. His IQ level, speed, reactions and stuff like that, phenomenal. Because you can be blessed like an Aaron Lennon with pace and all of that, but what are you going to do with it if you don't have that IQ? That Mane's brain is in tune with his ability. He has split seconds to make decisions and he does them. And goals such as the one against Bayern Munich, goals such as the one where you're losing to Aston Villa in the 80th minute 1-0 down, and then it becomes the Sadio Mane show. He turns up with his weaker foot, he does a cross, and I think it was just Robertson that heads it, I'm not sure. And then a couple of minutes later, Mane goes and seals it himself. And this is at the start of the season whereby, you know, if it was last season, if this game had gone 1-0 down, from you being 6 points ahead of City, all of a sudden you're in that 2-3 point range, and it could be same old story again. But the players that have made the difference for me this season is that particular player. And he done so much damage early on that by the time anyone else had even time to catch their breath and he took a breather himself, this league was well and truly sewn up. Like you was not even odds on. It's not even they're probably not even accepting bets on you, but just laying bets on City, etc. like that. So for me, in terms of his attributes, he can even head as well. We don't even talk about Sadio Mane, but actually Sadio Mane can header. Sadio Mane wins duels in the air. Sadio Mane is athletic. He harasses people. He's strong as well. He's not just flimsy.
If we talk about as well, like I said, he came off the African nations and he had a little blip where he had a little injury, I think in December, but physically, he's immense. And I think the Bruyne this season, he's been playing, but it was that one season where he was kind of injured for most of it. But this season, De Bruyne has been up there. So
yeah, I'll just throw out this little stat. So I don't pay too much. I don't give too much weight to man of the match awards anymore. This is when I got stung betting, funny enough, it involved Henderson as well, and it was Luis Suarez. I backed Luis Suarez for man of the match, and it was him and Hendo for the contention of the game. But in terms of contribution, Suarez did more. I think it was like 2 goals, 2 assists, and Hendo had 1 goal, 2 assists, but had been pretty, he drew the strings. And during that, when they gave the man of the match, and there'll be a recording somewhere that will back me up about this, they actually used this. They said, Luis Suarez wins it every week. Let's give it to Hendo. I don't think they wanted it to sound like that, but it was basically saying, like, let's give it to someone else that's tried quite well and contributed quite well. But if we was being really, really brutal about it, Suarez should pick that up again. So for me, in terms of like, if you're going to bet on something, you don't want to be let down by someone's opinion effectively. So if it was down to just statistics and so there's a company called whoscored.com and betting companies now use them, and you can actually bet with them on the market because they use multiple categories to
but you just hit the nail on the head. You just said it perfectly, and that's what I've been saying, that this award, if you base it on statistics and high level performances, there's only 2 people that can win it, and that's Mane and De Bruyne.
Absolutely.
But it's not based on that though. It's not based on that though. It's based on opinion. And this year, there is an opinion where people are probably leaning towards, this is the one year where let's give it to the underdog instead of the guys that would normally win.
It's strange because I still see Sadio Mane as the underdog in Liverpool, because when you talk about
that's what I'm saying. He's still. That's why I'm giving it to Mane, because I feel like he can fit both of the categories. He can blend it perfectly because he's got the stats to match De Bruyne. But at the same time, he technically is a still underdog because last year he didn't get recognition. At Liverpool, a lot of the times when people talk, they say Salah, Salah, Salah. If you go to fantasy football, a lot of people, they're going to put Salah in their team. He's still at the forefront.
He's greedier. His role is a little bit more greedier.
Whereas Mane is very much humble.
Yeah.
So I think very much like.
I think a really good comparison is Mane is very much like Jurgen Klopp's philosophy, like his ethic in football, his selflessness. So when Salah scores a lot of goals in the season, Mane's goals dip, but his assists go up. When Salah last season had a blip in his season, so he'd scored 32 the season before, and he dipped down to the 20s, then Mane's goals rose up. So Mane is like the Dark Knight of Gotham. He is honestly that. He's what you want him to be. And that's what makes him a phenom of a player. That you can put him into a team, and if your team suddenly needed goals, Mane steps up. If your team needed someone to distribute the ball across the, stretch teams and become an assist machine, Mane's that man. Does he have an ego? No. He got really upset that time. I remember when Salah didn't pass the ball. And these are just the ethics that you see in a player. You're like, oh, this is really interesting. Not only have you got...
Well, let's talk about...
team.
Let's talk about, because I think we've both on the agreement. So what I would say is that, like I personally feel that it's between Mane and De Bruyne. I think Mane should win. Now, what I would say, because I know you've mentioned Hendo a lot in this conversation, and let's talk about the sports personality of the year. Is that
absolutely
now with Henderson? I feel like he does deserve to be on the list in the sense that because he is the underachiever. Does he deserve to win? I don't think so, innit? But he does deserve to be on the list. And I think if you say he doesn't deserve to be on the list, I think that would be a different argument, because now, if you look at this, that's why he's on the sports personality of the year list. So now if you say he shouldn't be in top 6 at all, then I would have to disagree with you, because I think he does deserve to be on the list.
Actually, I'm in total agreement, mate. I'm in total agreement, which is why when during this the recent events and people were suggesting that Henderson should also win PFA Player of the Award because of his charity work, I was in I totally dispute that point. We start, we look at the charity work and start comparing. No, that absolutely is ammunition for player of the season. For sports personality of the season. That's what it's about. Doing charity work suggests, that you've got humble, great ethics, and you're a good human being. It doesn't just suggest that makes you a better footballer. No.
Don't say that. Don't say that, because you're taking discredit away from him. He's on the list of the footballer of the year for his football achievements. Because I watch Liverpool.
Yes,
I'm a Liverpool
and that's
fan.
what I want.
He's not just there because of his charity. Because he was.
No.
Remember, this list came out. But this list came out. This was a list. Remember, it got cancelled. So this list came out in April. He only did those charity works after. So that's got nothing to do with the footballing list. He was on the list before all of that.
But they were using it. So this is what I'm trying to say about level playing field. That are we picking does Sadio Mane and Kevin De Bruyne, even though they should probably be 1 and 2, do they have a fight against Hendo when Hendo has, not through any fault of his own, is being championed as a cause, as a great hope of England, as the last one after Gerrard or Rooney or whoever won it last, as that next Englishman. Like, let's get it. Look, this is the best chance we've got of an Englishman getting it in the recent last few years. Let's make it happen. Like, in that respect, are we, from a footballing perspective, being fair? That's what I was saying. So when you take into account charity work, for the sports personality of the year,
who's taking into account charity work? Because that he's on the list.
The people that influence the people that help influence decisions. The people that put it on sports media.
It's your players. That's what you don't seem to get. This is not a bad...
What I'm trying to say is, Chidi, we can all think here as intellectuals and say, like, we've looked at the information, we understand that there's a campaign and that maybe we can disregard that and look at their ability and judge them on the performances. We can say that, but you can't say that every single person is not influenced by what they see daily.
It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter, because that's the criteria. Now, is it more prevalent?
The criteria should be who is the player of the season. You use your own criteria to make that up.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you want
what people to do externally?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. So
the charity work comes in for sports personality. The charity does not come into PFA. So
but
for anyone who's in media, so using that as saying that's another reason why Jordan Henderson is a shoo-in and calling it shoo-in. First of all, the Premier League's not even over.
You're saying that you've got this issue.
No. This is what I've seen.
It does seem like you have an issue with Jordan Henderson, because I don't understand yet. It's a player's vote. The players are going to make the decision. If they want to base the decision on the fact that Henderson was able to call them up and say, let's sort out this charity, and it gave them good PR, that's up to them. I don't think
that's not even what I'm suggesting. What I'm trying to say is when it's just like propaganda. When one player is absolutely so judging from everything that's been said, if the Premier League ended today anyway, they're going to give it to Hendo. Like, it doesn't seem to matter.
You're saying that. Who said that? Who said that? I don't
This
understand.
is everything that's been on. So, like I said, if you go on Sky Sports News and everything, it's very subtle and everything, but all they seem to be promoting is
No,
Hendo.
but that's all,
So
yeah, but
even
that's
when
all you.
even when there was a poll, right? Like Chidi,
Yeah.
listen. Even when there was a poll, right, and everyone could vote on it, I voted and I chose Kevin De Bruyne. Sadio Mane won that vote. When you go to the article, you still only see Jordan Henderson's picture on the front page. You have to go into the article, click 3 times to see Sadio Mane, even though he won that poll. This is my point.
What do you want?
That
I
you're
don't
saying that
understand.
your peers.
What do you want to be done? Because that's Sky Sports. Isn't it?
I want to make sure that for the great goodness of football, that people don't get involved in this crazy romance and campaign. That if Jordan Henderson wins it, he wins it based on merit, not based on charitable work, not based on outside influences, not based on the fact that we've been fed his name and his picture in every media outlet for the last 3 weeks and probably continuing for the next 3 weeks till they pick the vote. And then you say there's no influence in that. What I would like to see is Sadio Mane's face up a little bit as well. Why does he not deserve the credit? Is it because it's a stance against the captain? Is it a stance because he's not English or he's not the right social demographic? Like, what is it? Like, I would like it personally that if it's a vote between the players and whatever it is, that you take into the criteria you use is not biased criteria, not criteria you've been fed and propaganda that you've been fed. If Jordan Henderson wins it, I want it to be based on his merit, and I hope that is the case. Because if he wins it over KDB and Sadio Mane, that's a player that isn't world-class, beating 2 players who are consistently, for more than 1 year, consistently played at an optimum level for both their respective clubs and deserve recognition also. So what I'm trying to say is if it boils down to it at the end of the day, and he wins it, I hope he wins it on merit, not on all the other crap that I've been watching for the last 3-4 weeks. And it's not a personal agenda, because at the end of the day, I'm still picking a Liverpool player versus a Liverpool player. What's my agenda against Jordan Henderson? I couldn't give a shit. Bruno Fernandes is 10 times better than Jordan Henderson. He's played 5 fucking games. I couldn't care less. I've got no agenda against Jordan Henderson, but don't be picking Jordan Henderson over a quality Sadio Mane, dangerous winger in the world, or KDB who's about to break Thierry Henry's record, and give it to Henderson.
Yeah, but
because that's
I know what you're trying to say, but unfortunately, you know, this is the issue. Yeah, what you're very passionate what you're saying. Yeah, and it's 100% right. But when Messi won the World Cup award year, yeah, you probably didn't think he should have won it, but you wasn't complaining that much, was you? Because you won money. So you can't stop this thing. I agree with you. What you're saying is, I'm not disagreeing with you. I 100% agree with you. Mane should win it, and it shouldn't be based on because Henderson done charity work. And it's not fair for them to be pushing that narrative and not highlighting what De Bruyne has done, as in the football achievement, which is going to be amazing if he breaks the record, and what Mane's done consistently.
That's why I want it to be level, because I don't want it to be this feeling of we've been sold this narrative that the decision's almost already been. Because if you listen to the narrative, which of course we should disregard, but we do look at sports and we do research the sports and we do have a look at all these outlets. I just want it to be based on merit, because I don't want to have that.
Yeah, but if the players feel that they were getting so much pressure and Henderson was the one that organised this PR for them, and that is greater than the football achievements of Mane and De Bruyne, that's their choice.
No, granted.
That's their choice to make.
And this is why I've almost highlighted it, because it's the other side of the coin as well. Because he may deserve to win it, and it's now clouding my judgment as well now, because of the amount of PR that's been pushed behind him. I
get that.
So I'm doing it from that end as well. I'm like,
unfortunately,
I want him to win it for him.
Yeah,
like,
but
if he wins it, I want to be able to say, look him in the eye and go, you know what, Hendo, well done, you deserve it. Like,
unfortunately, it's because, you know, this award, like I said, it was announced in April, and then potentially, I think if it had been done there, it probably would have been like Mane third, De Bruyne second, and then Henderson third. You know, they'll put Henderson in the top 3 just to highlight the underachiever aspect, but they wouldn't necessarily give it to him. Obviously, because of this whole Corona and what Henderson's done, it has thrust him more into the limelight, where potentially he's in a position now where he could actually win, and it won't be 100% from his footballing abilities, which, you know, I guess would take a little bit away from the award. And I know what you're saying, 100%, but, you know, sometimes
you've made a good point there. You made a good point there, but that could lead us nicely into the personality side of it. So, okay, we've got this current campaign there is another footballer that was trying to promote something who didn't have a campaign behind him during it. There was little bits and pieces about Marcus Rashford doing a little bit of work with the kids in terms of free meals. The government wanted to stop giving free meals to underprivileged kids and those from households that potentially couldn't afford it, etc., etc. Marcus Rashford himself is a youth that comes from poverty. He had to go to, like, there's beautiful stories about, well, not beautiful, but I mean, in terms of his journey, he had to go and eat like his nans or his aunts and this and that, like to get food. It wasn't easy in those days. So he's come from humble backgrounds. He is going to be a multi-million, if he's not already a multi-million-pound footballer, because he plays for Man United. He's homegrown.
Yeah, if he ain't a multi-million-pound footballer, what are you lot paying him?
I don't know. I don't know Marcus Rashford's wages, but you know how we do. Like, it's Man United. At the end of the day, it's Man United. I'm pretty convinced it'd be more than 50
grand. How can he not be on 150?
Yeah, let's not pay Sanchez at all and give all it. But so Marcus Rashford, that's another one. See, so this is what it is with the media and me in the media. It's just, I just like it when it's fairer. So even with Marcus Rashford, I wish he had got a lot of promotion during the campaign, because it is an important thing. And funny enough, after the campaign, after he was successful in getting the U-turn from the government, then a lot of people jumped on this sort of the Marcus Rashford bandwagon sort of thing. I don't know what I want to call that, because we're trying to take away, and I don't want to take away. It's like, but everyone got on it after he achieved. So maybe his reflection in the Sports Personality Award, where he's shorter than Jordan Henderson, may be reflecting that. So where you've got Jordan Henderson, where we're trying to take not just his footballing achievements, and then him as a human being, being a nice human being, being a human being that clearly cares and clearly communicates. So he carries clout. Like, Jordan Henderson carries clout in the footballing community. So when they say, oh, he was talking to other captains, organising stuff, I have no doubt that he's talking to people like Maguire, etc., etc. So other people that can help influence things in their demographics, etc. And Jordan Henderson is probably an instigator of that. He's probably very much a vocal person that cares about charity, cares about, well, look, all of this is going on. And this is why I feel angry at myself, because of understanding media narrative and understanding when someone's pushing something. So I actually want to respect Jordan Henderson, because actually this year, the guy has been phenomenal in what he can do. I limit him in his ability when I compare him to someone like a Paul Pogba or Bruno Fernandes, like that's fine. But in terms of his ethics and in terms of him as a footballer, he's a role model like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like for me, I'm more respectful of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer than I'm respectful of like a David Beckham. Like, for me, that guy's the pinnacle for me, because the attributes as a footballer, it's worth so much more when you have something humble. It means you don't have to manage it as well as someone else that's an ego and could be a crybaby and a potential Balotelli or Ibra or whatever it is. So these players are absolutely. So this is, again, so with Hendo, I think because he's had a little bit of a campaign, it's interesting because he's coming in about 12-1, 10-1 for Sports Personality of the Year. Marcus Rashford got steamed into, so it almost was caught unaware. So 1 minute there was this campaign that no one really heard about. Next minute, the government's done the U-turn and it's got all of this publicity, and Marcus Rashford has gone straight into number 2.
Yeah, but okay. So what you're trying to say? Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So right now you've got so now it's like kind of like roles reversed in your whole argument in what you were saying before, and obviously. For me, Sports Personality of the Year, yes, it is based more on your.
I'm just talking about the odds. I haven't told you my personal. Like, my personal was KDB should be Player of the Year. If it's a Liverpool player, it should be Sadio Mane. But I haven't even told you.
No, but who do you think should win? Who do you think should win Sports Personality?
Leading up to this, I thought more Hendo, because I thought so. Everything I was
Personality of the Year.
For personality, yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to explain to you, yeah, is Sports Personality of the Year fundamentally is still a sporting achievement. It's not based on everything you've done outside of the ring. It's still what have you done sporting wise. That's fundamentally what it is.
I think this one is more open. No,
I don't think so. Because why is Marcus Rashford? That's what I'm trying to say. That don't even make no sense now.
Well, that's not based on his.
Rashford shouldn't even be on the list because he has achieved nothing sporting wise.
Okay, I think the difference here, Chidi, is the Sports Personality is a public vote, from what I understand, which is why you have to be careful of that one. So this one is going to be your peers, is going to be like your people in your profession. Whereas this one, I believe the sports personality now.
I don't think you make any sense, because Henderson. Okay, you're saying Henderson shouldn't win the PFA.
What I'm confused.
Yeah.
What I'm confused about, actually, is you seem to think my opinion about the sports personality. I told you my opinion about the PFA Player of the Year, but I haven't told you my sports personality. So why are you assuming that I've?
No, because you're talking about Rashford, but Rashford shouldn't even be on the list. You should be saying he shouldn't even be on the list.
But he is on the list. But you haven't asked me personally. I'm just telling you what.
Okay, do you think Rashford should be on the sports personality list?
He is on the list.
No,
they didn't really give me a choice.
Do you think he should be? That's what I'm asking you.
I think with considering current circumstances and everything that's happened in the last 2 to 3 months, and with the global campaign, I think we're looking for young black role models who do the right thing off their own back.
Yes or no?
Listen, Chidi, listen. This is, I'm telling you the reason why he's there, and whether you agree with that or not, that's not even up to us. He's there, isn't it? Right? Same with Jordan. He's there. It makes more sense to me for Jordan Henderson to be there, because we're looking at his footballing achievements, and then on top of that, the charity work means he's nice. Yeah. So we're talking about personality. Personality means everything. You're kind, you're good-hearted, you're a role model. People can look up to you, you inspire. This is all the stuff that a personality should be. Jordan Henderson is that. But then if you look at Marcus Rashford, he's kind of done everything off his own back, to the extent that he hasn't had any sort of exposure or promotion. He kind of took it on board himself. It's something that he's passionate about. And he's made a change. He wanted to raise a small target. He raised 20 million. He wanted to make sure kids had food for vulnerable households and kids. And it's such a good cause. And he achieved it, and he done it. And he didn't have, even Man United, as far as I can see, not even Man United promoted it. We didn't even promote it. He kind of just done everything.
So who do you think? So you think he should be on the list? Then who do you think should win?
Actually, not the point. Before I even thought about it, when I looked at the market, he's there in second place. Like, so it's not even like I had time to process. Like, should Marcus Rashford be a sports personality? This is why I'm saying.
So you think he should be on the list?
You're getting at me for an argument that I haven't even.
No, but I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you think, because everything you said, you think he should be on the list?
I think in light of everything, if people are looking for particular role models and he fits the bill, like, it's going to happen, right? Like,
so yeah. So you think he should be on the list?
I think he should probably, like, if you look at this year and half the year's gone, no one's even been able to do sport in the last 3 months. So you're going to have to be a bit flexible. You're going to have to be flexible, Chidi. There's no Wimbledon.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you, yeah? Now, whether
we are carrying on with football. Carrying on with football.
So he could win. So if Marcus Rashford wins, you won't have a problem with that.
I care less about that award, which is much more opinionated, and people can bring in any factor they want, than to something that should be totally football related. There is some charity in there.
No, I don't think that makes sense to me. I don't think that makes sense, because basically my whole...
You're almost holding up 2 awards like they should be measured totally comparably. No. What
I'm saying is, yeah, the PFA Player of the Year award, yeah, should be it's based on football. It's probably based on, it's going to be opinion based. So it's probably going to be about 80% is going to be based on football statistics, and then with the 80%, I'm still putting Henderson there. Definitely not at the top 2 though, but I'm still putting him there. And then obviously you're going to have some outside influences. Where the outside influences come is all the charity work and stuff like that. And Hendo's number 1. Now, whether that's enough for him to win the award, I don't know. Now, I'm saying the same thing for the sports personality, but it's a different percentage. You've got your personality outside of the ring and what you've done is probably going to constitute about 50%. But your actual sporting achievement is, again, going to have to be about 50%. Now, what I'm saying to you is that Rashford, yes, he has the sports personality aspect, but he has no sporting achievement.
I can already dispute that. I can already dispute that based on the previous winners, that you're not actually correct.
Who? Tell me who's won. Tell me who's won that hasn't had a sporting achievement.
Ryan Giggs won at 100-1 odds. Does that mean that he was expected to win? And did he do anything?
What did he win? The Player of the Year?
Did he do anything particular that year to win it?
Did he win the Player of the Year?
It was a lifetime achievement award. He effectively got a lifetime achievement. He effectively, the people that voted.
What award are you talking about?
Sports Personality of the Year.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Sporting achievement. What has Rashford done, sporting wise?
What you mean, like in terms of titles and stuff? It depends what you.
What's he done? Like
you mean?
football, has he done assists? Has he scored goals? Is he even been your best player this year? What's he done?
Yeah, but I'm agreeing with you. But I'm thinking that you're not quite understanding that anyone can win the sports personality. That when Ryan Giggs won it, he actually didn't have a particularly good year compared to other years.
Yes, anyone can win it. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say,
but
Chidi,
you have to have a sporting achievement. Forget the Sir Captain Tom Moore. That's just a joke thing. Forget him. He's just on the list.
Clearly not, Chidi. But Chidi, you're fighting something like that's the system. If all the people are behind Marcus Rashford and all want to see him as a sports personality, you're fighting the people. Like it's nothing to do with me whether he's achieved something, which is why I don't care for that particular award.
So why does your same argument not work for Player of the Year?
Because the two awards are not the same. The two awards are not the same.
I think your argument's confused because why then can't all the players? I think
your argument's confused. Tyson Fury didn't win when he beat Klitschko. Why? Answer me that now. If it's to do with sport, let's go. Why did Klitschko? Why did Tyson Fury not win sports personality of the year when he beat Klitschko?
Exactly. And what I just said, is that sports personality.
Which is why I don't class that award as anything like it's a separate thing. It's a
no, it isn't. No, you have to. No, it isn't because Tyson Fury, didn't win because I said it's 50% your sporting achievement and 50% what you've done outside the ring. But you need to have a sporting achievement to win.
Fury didn't win because he made certain comments that affected certain groups.
They took out his outside influences, and it overshadowed.
Yeah. But then, Chidi, that shows that the achievement can be outbalanced by the personality. Yeah, but right? Yes or no?
Huh? It shows an achievement.
Your achievements can be outbalanced by your personality. Yes or no?
It shows. No. You mean your person? Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that
his achievement is a once in a lifetime beating Klitschko that no one thought could happen. So his achievement outweighs everything. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Right.
No, it doesn't.
Now, if there was a PFA Player of the Year award for boxing, he wins it. If there's a personality and he's coming out and saying anti-gay comments or something like that, and that seems to affect the vote, then that's something. Do you see what I'm saying? So one is your talent, which is I'm more respectful of PFA Player of the Year. When it comes to sports personality, I'm not sure how it works, Chidi. It's become public. It never used to be public, and it became a public vote. Now you can bring up. So when you know that, like Facebook votes or online social media, and you know that like there's a massive group of Arsenal fans, and if so happens to be, you can manipulate votes or something. What I'm trying to say is one award is based on recognition of your talent, performance, and your hard work for the season. The other one is can be based on clearly multiple factors. And in a year like this, where everything is weird, everything has been turned on its head. To see Marcus Rashford there, I don't have a strong opinion. Like, for me, it doesn't matter. I'm proud of him. I'm personally proud of Marcus Rashford.
But he has no sporting achievement.
Whether he gets a piece of paper saying, well done, Marcus Rashford.
But he has no sporting achievement.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. But then this year is a very unique year where there's going to be a lot of people.
So why doesn't that same thing now? This is a unique year. Why does that not apply to Henderson winning?
Because we've still got football, we've still got Sadio Mane, and he's still up against KDB. So when you've got those three people, you got
So Tyson Fury that came back from a 3.5 year layoff or whatever it was, and then he's gone to America to beat Deontay Wilder and win the belt, reclaim his title, still undefeated. So he should that sporting achievement again to be overshadowed because what Marcus Rashford done.
No, like, if you ask me my personal opinion, like, who, have you ever asked me? You haven't even asked me.
I'm asking, but you're not answering. You don't answer the question.
My sports personality most likely be to Tyson Fury based on his sporting achievement. But what I'm trying to say to you is there's much more room for thinking about it and putting your own criteria.
I get you.
But that's what I'm saying. In that respect, if everyone agrees Marcus Rashford deserves second place, like, who am I to, like... But when it comes to the football, I've got my own arguments as to why Sadio Mane should be ahead of him.
Yeah, but
it's based on football.
Yeah, but
it's based on football.
No,
that's my criteria.
No, it's not, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Yeah, the PFA Football of the Year, predominantly should be based on football, but there is always going to be a certain percentage where they take your achievements outside of football into account. And what I'm saying is...
Not for PFA Player of the Year award, because otherwise, then, okay, if that's the case, Chidi, then can we get a PR campaign behind anything that Mane's done in charity work?
Yeah,
because if I can learn everything that...
They actually done a Mane documentary and stuff, so I guess you didn't see all that. But there was actually a bit of a PR campaign about him. The BBC were running. So I get what you're trying to say, yeah, but
about time, bro.
Well, I get what you're trying to say, yeah, but I feel that
I think you're trying to say that my argument changes for that ward. Yes, because that ward is not based on the same criteria, and it's open to public opinion. Like public.
I say your argument. No. You're consistent in what you're saying, yeah. If you're saying 100%, the PFA Player of the Year award should be based on football.
Yeah, 100%. I don't bring in charity. I don't bring in no charity because it's crazy. Because then all of a sudden, the whole purpose of charity, Chidi, is if you truly believe in charity, you don't even kind of promote it. You can promote it if you want to, but the charity in its essence is that you do something good for someone with no expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I do something good, I shouldn't have the whole world praising me because I've done something good, because I'm trying to do it for the right reasons, not for reasons to big up my own ego. So that's why PFA.
But what I'm trying to
year. Sorry.
But what I'm trying to say is that what you're saying is right, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that Sports Personality of the Year cannot be based 100% on just your achievement. You have to have some kind of you can't just be based 100% on your personality.
But like I said, Chidi,
you have to have some kind of sporting achievement, and Rashford doesn't have anything.
No, I think it's purely his achievement outside of football that has propelled him into that particular award.
I don't think he'll win it.
I don't think he'll win it. And when you look at odds for that,
I don't think
for example,
you think he's going to win it?
Well, no, I said I don't think he's going to win it.
Oh, right,
but when you look at odds for that particular thing, you've got to understand that they react to what's happening at the time. So with the season of football, you've got a season of football to work on. Yeah, like you can start formulating your opinions from any point of the season. With Sports Personality, it only happens as the thing happens. So with Marcus Rashford, it's only happened last week. The immediate reaction is those people that are smart enough. They're like, well, that's quite an amazing thing he's achieved. He's going to be in the immediate limelight for a bit. He's going to be, this is his chance to rack up all the points that he needs or wherever he is. So the people jump onto that before it happens. They jump onto those surprise. So Marcus Rashford, before that announcement of the U-turn, was 20-1 or bigger for Sports Personality. So he was in the market because the market's very flimsy this year anyway. So I don't know. Maybe he's done other stuff that I'm not aware of outside of football.
Well, I didn't know that.
Like I said, I don't know, but he was 20-1, Chidi, about a week ago, and now the announcements happened.
It must have been. He could only be in that list for what he's done with the whole campaign. It's not.
It's probably, but like I said, this is a little bit.
He hasn't done anything sporting. At the end of the day, it's still Sports Personality. You still have to do something in a sporting sense.
Yeah,
and that explains why Ryan Giggs won it, because he probably wasn't good that season, but in a sporting
it's more like an achievement, like overall achievements. Yeah,
but it was fundamentally based on what he done sporting-wise.
No, I agree with you, which is why I'd like to keep the two separate. Like, have your opinions and how you want to weight your opinions for something like Sports Personality, which seems to take into account whatever they want to. They can take into account your religious beliefs. They take into account your beliefs of what you say on media. If it offends people, that will count against you. If you were seen to uplift or promote people, it will count for you. That's that stuff. That's like neither here nor there for me in terms of the footballing perspective. It's a very interesting one. Tyson Fury would have won, by the way. That Sports Personality.
He's still favourite. Why can't he win?
No. I'm talking about when he beat Klitschko. It was because he had some anti-sentiment, sentiments, and it penalised him. But actually, I got involved, and he was 66-1 prior to Klitschko, and then came into second or
but that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. What the issue is now, is that my issue is, and at the end of the day, this is what I think personally, is that when it comes to the PFA Player of the Year, you've got two options, Henderson. De Bruyne and Mane should be the top two, and then obviously probably they're going to put Henderson in there as number 3.
I think Henderson's probably got a stronger chance of. It's hard to know the narrative. Bookies have ever so slightly Mane ahead of Henderson, but actually KDB's third place in terms of betting. So if you thought there was an upset there, he's actually the best price out of the 3 to win it. So and about a month ago, Henderson was favourite. So it's I think this is why I'm trying to say the argument is closer, but the narrative suggests that Hendo's got it in the bag. But this is my whole thing, is that I want there to be discussion. I want you guys, everyone, And especially footballers who end up picking their decision that they base it based on what they see around them, based on how they've played against the opposition, based on what they think of, the player, and bring all those factors that you want to. You're the guys that are voting is the players, right? So it's not my influence at the end of the day. But what I don't like is just this mad narrative of almost like pushing. It's almost like we're pushing a white knight, and I see Mane as the Dark Knight of Gotham. Like, he does all that nasty work that no one else wants to do. He terrifies people in the middle of the night. He does on the football pitch. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he's that guy. He is that guy. Like, and if you ask me, do I want Jordan Henderson or do I want Sadio Mane? And if you ask me, like, even with regards to Sadio Mane, like I said, there was something that came out and there was recognition. I think he had a little bit of a thing with Klopp because he wanted Klopp to say to him or recognise him. And in a team of Liverpool at the moment, it's hard to get individual recognition. So it's like you're all competing for individual recognition. But Mane is selfless. Like, he is, like, his ethics and everything is unbelievable. So, like, with regards to Mane, I just think, like, I really hope he gets it personally. Like, personally, I really, really hope he gets it. And that's purely based on everything I've seen, not just this year, but last year as well. And I just think that from an outside perspective, like, as a Man United fan, like, I would take Sadio Mane, even though we've got Martial, and I'd like to see him grow and learn and everything else. If you gave me the option between those two players, like, who I'd like in Man United, even though like, maybe
he's not going to go. He's not going to step down, is he?
Chidi. I'll give you this though. If he goes to Real Madrid, right, I don't think it's going to be because of ambitions in terms of team trophies. I think Liverpool's in a splendid place to be for a player right now if they want to compete for the Premier League, the Champions League. This year, you guys kind of went mad, right? Like, I feel like you should have been in all competitions. I understand. You need to get this one under your belt. You'll do whatever it takes to get this one under your belt, even if it's suicide in other competition. Liverpool's good enough to compete for the Champions League next year, for the Premier League next year, for the FA Cup next year, for the League Cup next year. They should really now take this hoodoo, this voodoo, this jinx, this whatever it is that's been holding you guys back. You're going to win your first Premier League title this year, right? You're going to win it. And you're going to be, if you do what, I know that Klopp is the closest thing I've seen to Fergie since me as a fan watching football. Like, I've never seen anyone rotate so much or play a system so much or be a personality so much or make it so much about your team. And no one goes against Klopp, and he's got everything nailed down. He's got everything in place. He's got his rotation. He's got his deadly systems. He's doing everything. He can make an average player look good. He's got world-class units to his team. Sadio Mane should stay at Liverpool for the team trophies, yes. But if he doesn't pick up this award this year, and I know it might seem like a small little thing, but this could be like the catalyst for him to move to somewhere to like Real Madrid, whereby.
But what's that got to do with Liverpool? I don't understand. What do you want us to do? We don't decide the award.
No, I got it. It's just
you
my
don't win it. You don't win it.
But I'll show you about perception. This is my next point about perception. That Sadio Mane could go to Real Madrid, and not only would he be competing for whatever accolades there, I think all of a sudden you take him more seriously as a Ballon d'Or competitor. And I think it's sad that he can't be a Ballon d'Or nominee here, but if he goes to somewhere like Real Madrid and he has the same season he's had here at Liverpool, I think we're talking about.
Okay, because it happened so great for Gareth Bale, didn't it? Because he became Ballon d'Or and he's loved by Real Madrid players. Yeah.
Each player to their own, but I can't see that with Sadio Mane. Like, I can't see that with Gareth Bale. I can't tell you that I foresaw him not doing well. I didn't think it would be like this, but I know boo boys at Real Madrid, and I know that they, especially if you're a foreigner and you're not performing, of course you're going to be an outlet.
Let's just conclude the original thing. I'll just end it by saying, what you're saying, I think, is correct. But my issue is that okay, in an ideal world, it's going to be Mane to win Player of the Year, De Bruyne second, and Henderson third. Now, what I'm saying, in an ideal world, Tyson Fury should win Sports Personality of the Year, because it's kind of like everything's reversed now. Whereas in the Player of the Year, they're pushing Henderson. In the Sports Player of the Year, Tyson Fury now is the person that has the sporting achievement, and with the depression and everything he's done outside of the ring, he ticks both boxes. But in that category now, they're pushing Rashford. Not only because it's good PR, because of the government, obviously you've got these
recent campaigns.
This thing that's going on. Like, let's not mention.
Chidi, let's pick our one because we've.
I think Fury should win that. But then if Rashford wins that, I can understand, innit? And it's the same way I'm planning that logic. If I think Mane should win it, but if Henderson wins it, I understand.
Because even though we're from opposing teams and we've had this discussion and we've kind of like gone off and then come back in, we're actually in agreement, strangely enough, with both our selections. So in terms of the final say approach, maybe we can award our final say awards out. So we'd say the final say player of the year for us would be
Sadio Mane.
And the final say sports personality of the year for us 2020 would be
Tyson Fury.
Boom. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, my peoples. This was an interesting one. But Chidi, much love, G. And we'll be back next week.
Take care. Nice to see some ratings for a Liverpool player from a Man U fan.
Listen, Sadio Mane goes beyond rivalry. That's what I would say. So I can still have my bias with Jordan Henderson, fine. But when it comes to Sadio Mane, as much as I love our wingers and I've grown up watching them kind of players, I just can't understand how this guy isn't a potential Ballon d'Or player. Like for me, Sadio Mane, not only are you the best winger in Liverpool, best winger in the Premier League, best winger in Europe, right now, Sadio Mane is probably the best winger in the world.
Say no more. I'm out.
Boom.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning into our video. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please click the like button. And if you want to watch more video content like this, you can click the subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification bell, which will basically give you all the latest videos when they're uploaded. If you want to listen to the full episode and you don't want to see our ugly faces, you can listen to the full episode on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Thanks.